for the opposition party, Paul Patmore, he have been ramping up his campaign and
Very
going
active
on.
on social media.
Yes. And before all this, South Trelawny would have been considered a safe seat. People would have had eyes on it when the former House Speaker had vacated the seat, and then and coming back, there was an opportunity because there was a by-election when the PNP was up in the polls and were seen to be, well, not favorable, but the JLP was less favorable in the eyes of many at the time. And the PNP perhaps missed that opportunity because, as far as I'm concerned, if there was an opportunity, it would have been that time.
Are you saying that
Yes.
had Marissa Dalrymple not returned, the seat would be a different story today?
It would have been perhaps one to watch. It would still be in favor of the JLP, but Paul Patmore would prefer anybody else than to be the challenger of Miss D. I'm sure. And I'm sure Mr. Patmore will agree with me.
All right. So how are things there now? How do you see it?
Yes. The thing is, just to make a few things clear, we don't take any seats for granted, but I'm able to forecast these seats correctly, and I must make a call. And this is an easy call to make. South Trelawny, as things stand, if the election is anywhere from now to next year, April, I think South Trelawny would still be in the JLP's column.
Yes, give us your reason.
Especially if Miss Dalrymple Philibert is the candidate. All right. The simple reasons. The candidate is strong. The people who supported the candidate still very much believe in the candidate. So from a candidate standpoint, the JLP has the right candidate. Next to the opposition candidate, Paul Patmore, he is very popular, and he is most popular in the area, would be the area of Lime Tree, Larimer's. I think that's where he's from. And despite the uproar you're seeing and things you're hearing, he's not getting traction in that area. And that is the JLP's strongest area, and he's not going to get any traction. Yes, he's not going to get any traction in that area. Hence, his popularity will not help across the constituency. And even in the last local government election, which PNP always texts me and asks, why don't I use that as a marker? And I always explain that it was a post-pandemic election. The JLP was on the ground in government, and there was a lot of hoax and innuendos going around that was casting doubt in people's mind, and things have changed since that. So at that time, PNP would have had their best performance and JLP would have underperformed. And look at this. In that election, JLP got 67% of the votes in Larimer's. Yes. JLP won all the division across the constituency in what is seemed to be PNP's strongest showing and JLP weakest showing.
Yes, they came closer in Albertown and also Spring.
Yes, the PNP came closer in Albertown and Ulster Spring, but they would have had to win. They would have to win both Albertown and Ulster Spring by 60% to 40% margin to take the general election.
And
come
even
the
in
general
Warsaw,
election.
the Labour Party is winning by almost 20 points.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I would say
So
15 points.
that is not such a hard call to make, KC. When
No.
you say that you expect Marissa Dalrymple Philibert to comfortably retain this one, eh?
Yeah, it's an easy call.
All right. Okay, then let's move over to Northern.
Again, another in Trelawny. We will continue with the numbers from the last election, and that's PNP's strong point. The numbers from 2024 local government election, people, is PNP's strong point and best indication for every and any constituency, because that was their champion performance against an underperforming government.
Yes.
Or should I say an underperforming JLP on that day. Okay. It's a very big constituency, predominantly ruled by the PNP. I think maybe JLP haven't won that since 1980.
So that's
I go off
Hamilton.
memory. Yes, that's Stover Hamilton.
Yes.
As for the numbers, the PNP would have won the Marthabury division, the Falmouth division, and the Weath and the Duncan's division. And they would have won 53% of the vote in Duncan, and I think about 52% in Marthabury. Falmouth is their strongest division, where they won 70% of the vote, and they won that division by 1,000 votes, and essentially they would have won the constituency by about that margin. Near that margin.
If 2024 was a general election, the PNP would have
PNP would have
won the seat.
Northern Trelawny, and that's what make it close now. That's what makes it interesting, because I don't.
A little break from Casey listeners. We
Hello.
Yeah, we hear Casey. You all right?
Yes. That's what making it interesting. The numbers, because as you know, we don't take the numbers for granted. However, PNP, the JLP strong division in those constituency would have been Sherwood Content and Wakefield. And in those divisions, the JLP got 52% of the votes in Sherwood Content, which is they underperforming in their strong division, and 54% of the votes in Wakefield. However, moving on from the numbers now, the other points. The PNP has a candidate in Wickham McNeil that is imported, or rather deported, from Western Westmoreland. A seat PNP never ever expect to lose. And a seat that, even though JLP has infighting down there, JLP is pretty strong, mainly because they don't want to go back to the kind of representation they got from Wickham McNeil, who is the candidate now in North Trelawny. So the buzz and the excitement you normally get and the traction from having a brand new candidate where people want to see what he's about and what he will do, you don't get that with Wickham McNeil, because he was government minister for years and MP for ages, and they didn't get that kind of performance from him. So he doesn't have that to go by. However, it's also a strong PNP ground. PNP has strong support across the ground in Northern Trelawny. Another thing that might work against the PNP is the fact that PNP have ruled North Trelawny maybe as long as they have ruled Western Westmoreland. And these last 4 years, despite COVID pandemic interrupted, is the best years Northern Trelawny have seen in ages in terms of infrastructure development and caring and work from an MP. And that's a new MP, Tova Hamilton, that they have given a chance. So that's working in favor of the JLP, along with the momentum and the swing of the Jamaica Labour Party. So there's a lot of things that seem to be cancelling out each other. And it's another battleground that PNP is under stress to win if they are going to retain government. But it's a battleground that the JLP can afford to lose and still win the general election.
I tell you something.
It's a very important one. Yes.
Yes. So it is not a done deal for Tova Hamilton, you are saying?
No, it is not a done deal for Tova Hamilton. But she is in good stead. The 1,000 votes is something to look at to say, okay, they lost it by 1,000 last year in the local government, but that's a different proposition.
Yes. All right. So you would put Trelawny at one Labour,
Labour and a battleground in South Trelawny. So the
Labour Party should not tick off Northern Trelawny as a show.
Northern Trelawny, no. Even if I call it or forecast it in favor of the JLP, it wouldn't be smart to tick it off. And the reason I put it, as long as it's not a safe seat, it cannot be ticked off.
Northern Trelawny is not safe.
No, it's not safe.
Okay.
And the fact that it's not safe, it's more problem for the opposition rather than the government. Because if the votes come in election night when we're counting and PNP does not win North Trelawny, they will lose the election badly.
Sorry. Let me drill that down a little. You are saying that if the PNP is going to win the election, they have to be carrying North Trelawny.
Yes. If they're not going to lose badly, they will have to carry North Trelawny.
No, that's a different thing. If they're not going to lose badly.
Yes. They may carry North Trelawny and still lose. But anyway, let's give them this. If they're going to win, the map of winning they have to take up North Trelawny along the line.
I see.
Yes.
And let me ask you this in terms, because there are some of Tova's people listening to us, and we are being objective and we are being fair. You are saying that as far as Northern Trelawny is, and are looking at the results of the last local government election, which if it was a general election, the PNP would have won that seat.
Yes.
But then when you look at the other factors, you still put it in a toss-up.
Yes, it's a toss-up. And it's advantage JLP because of the work that is going on underground by the JLP MP, which the most of the constituents do not remember that type of work being going on. But for me, it's still a battleground.
Junior, you had told me that what's your name? Junior Nana 409. Yes, you had told me that. All right. Fair cases. So Tova Tini is what? Tova Hamilton. You have work to do over there in northern Trelawny. Not impossible.
She has work to continue.
Work to continue. Right.
Yes.
All right. So that's one seat in Trelawny for the Labour Party. One is a toss-up. You haven't called it for the PNP, have you?
No.
Okay. Let's then jump over to Saint Ann. Where you want to start in Saint Ann?
Where to start in Saint Ann? Very interesting. We could have skipped two constituencies in Saint Ann, but
We can
don't.
we can skip. Casey?
Yes, I
No
don't
man,
know what
I am
happened,
hearing
but
you.
yeah.
Yes. So you are saying that the only two seats in Saint Ann that is in question is Northwestern and Southeastern, right?
Well, I don't know if Northwestern is in question.
So which two seats in Saint Ann are you skipping? Southeast?
No, I said we could have skipped Southwest and Northeast, but we'll go through them quickly anyway.
Hold on. Northeast?
Yes, Northeast.
But why
Batista
why
Maga.
why Southeastern wouldn't be skipped? Isn't that one of the strongest PNP seat well historically on the island?
Historically, but this is not about history. It's about past, present, and forecasting the future.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us then.
Yes. We start with Southwest Saint Ann, and that's Xavier Main's constituency. He have been MP since 2016. Wrestled from Keith Walford, the very popular Keith Walford, and he maintained, he won easy. He would have beaten Valentin Wint in 2020, and then now he's up against a beautiful young lady. So in that particular constituency is traditionally a strong JLP constituency. It's one that PNP can win 40 seats across the country and don't win Southeast Saint Ann on a normal basis.
Yes.
Yes, PNP could win 40 seats and don't. As a matter of fact, the last time PNP won Southwest Saint Ann, they won 42 constituencies. And
Yes.
Southwest Saint Ann was one of the won by the least amount of votes. So now they have a two-term MP who is going for the third term and have a lot of gas left in him. Under a government that has a lot of gas left in them and is doing an excellent job and is gaining more traction on the ground than the opposition since the last time the electorate went to the poll in 2024. So in terms of the MP himself, it's similar to South Trelawny. The MP is still very much loved, adored, and wanted, and so too is the party. So I don't see the things that would work in the opposition's favor. I should tell you there's a division in that constituency called out division that is the strongest for the People's National Party. And last year February, that division, the People's National Party won by about 230 vote, about 235 vote, thereabout. And it was the only division they won there, and that's 55% of the vote. So you get a better understanding. So that's really basically a good win. The Barrow Bridge is the battleground division in the constituency, and it has a lot of voters, and it normally gives a slightly higher voter turnout than the other divisions, and Boroughbridge is a 50-50 constituency. However, it was won by the JLP last year, February, in the PNP's strongest showing. And JLP is expected to win that division by even more come the general election. The other two divisions are Alexandria and Gibraltar. Both of them, the JLP are expected to pick up like 70% of the votes. So it's a safe JLP seat from all indications. Xavier Main is safe.
Oh, so you are saying that you would call this at this point for the Labour Party?
Yes, Southwestern Ann.
You don't think it's competitive?
No, it's not.
Oh, very interesting, I tell you. All right, Casey. So you want to move over to Northern Saint Ann, Northwestern?
Okay, let's go through Northeast Saint Ann.
Northeast?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
That's the other close. That's the other safe seat in the constituency. A safe JLP seat.
A safe JLP seat?
Yes, Northeast Saint Ann. The current MP is Matthew Samuda.
Yes.
Yes, and their JLP is expected to win by a considerable amount in the election coming up, and I'm forecasting them to win all the constituency. All the divisions. They have won, they have won all the divisions last year in a strong PNP. Well, a stronger PNP showing than normal in the constituency. And they will do that again in the general election. And even if they lose a division, which would be Lime Hall, if they lose any, it would be Lime Hall. And Lime Hall is one that they won 51%, almost 52% of the vote last year when PNP was stronger, or the JLP wasn't as strong at the time of the election. And it's a safe JLP seat, and it will be back in the winning column for the governing party. So
you think that you don't think Samuda don't have any chance at losing that, eh?
No.
Wow. So that's two in Saint Ann that has gone.
Yes, and that's the two I said we could have skipped.
We could have skipped them.
Yes, that's the two I said we could have skipped.
Because they are not even competitive?
Yes, they are not even competitive.
But Casey, what makes them not competitive at this time? Is the Labour Party so strong nationally?
Well, yes, the Labour Party is stronger nationally. The PNP strategy is a bit they gained some traction based off their strategy, but it has run out of steam. Things are clearer. They didn't really convince people to cross the floor, but what they did is put doubt in a lot of the onlookers and the undecided minds. And as I said to you before, things are getting a bit clearer now. A bit clearer. Remember,
the political landscape is now pointing to what is going to happen.
Yes. Yes. And that's why the JLP are edging closer and closer to where the political landscape is edging closer and closer to where it is coming from in 2020.
You mean the political dynamics on the ground are being
Yes.
realigned to 2020?
Yes, it is.
What?
Yes, it is. All right. In Saint Ann now, neighbor. Let's go to Saint Ann Southeast.
Yes.
And a lot of Laborites are excited about this one. They come within 32 votes of taking St. Ann Southeast in 2020. And Lisa Hannah person was the MP. The most popular PNP candidate almost lost the seat. So when there is a swing against your party, you cannot tick off any seat as safe.
And you are saying that there's a swing against the PNP now?
Yes, there is a swing that's taking up a head of steam against the PNP unless the PNP do something in the campaign.
But sir, you are speaking about a swing that is greater than what was there in 2020?
I'm talking about well, at this moment in time, I will not say it is as great or is greater, but it's building up a head of steam. And since the election is not today or tomorrow.
Hold on. Are you saying that the Jamaica Labour Party is building momentum? It's strengthening?
Yes, they are building momentum because, but that would have been momentum. To be honest, that would have been momentum that they would have lost from 2003 to 2004.
So they have they're really catching up back to where they were.
They were. However, at the weakest they have been since 2016 would have been from late 2023 to early 2024, in which they went to the poll and still managed to come out victorious.
Yes, but with all fairness, sir, you're not expecting that seat to be competitive. You would have to say that the PNP has the advantage there.
Yes, if it is competitive or as competitive as 2020, the JLP would have to surprise me. I'm not seeing that, I'm not feeling that, and I will not forecast that because we're about the truth here, as you know.
Yes.
And in the last local government election, PNP won all the divisions, and they won them by considerable amount. They had 2 divisions that they win by 64 and 70. They got 64 and 70% of the vote. And in Benson and Claremont division, they won 56 and 54% of the votes. And
but let me ask you a question.
But it will be.
How could the party have lost the seat by 32 votes? And at this time, the PNP is so dominant.
That's why. The thing is, that's why it's good sometimes to let me finish, because that's not the only thing at play here. The numbers from last year are not the only thing at play, but it's the PNP's best indication. February 2024 numbers are the opposition's best indications because of the underperformance of the JLP in that local government election.
Why do you say it is an underperformance?
Because JLP popularity and likability does not come from their councillors. Their councillors and even some of their MP got most of the favorable, got the swing, the positive energy from the favorability of their prime minister and the party hierarchy in general, that people can always point to that they are doing excellent job and have done excellent jobs. So The fact that since the councillors were in there for 8 years, because the local government election was postponed a few times, and then as I tell you before, there were clouds over the JLP due to propagandas, and the PNP was active on the ground campaigning since as long as early 2003. The JLP campaign might have kicked off November 2003 when they had their conference. So, and again, we went through a pandemic, and that was a post-pandemic election. So, nobody changed to PNP, but most people were not willing to run to the polls in a local government election, but PNP base was up and alive. PNP was vibrant. And if you remember, PNP leader called his supporters to a referendum. He said, this is a referendum. He placed everything on that local government election because what I can tell you, that local government election has a lot to do with Mark Jefferson Golden still being the head of the PNP and being a powerful head of the PNP today. So, in other words,
in other words, had the PNP done badly in that election, Golden probably would have been replaced.
Exactly. A friend of mine told me this. A big man, a senior, told me that back in the days he was good at track and field. You see, neighbor? And when he went to the National Stadium, he was going to Kingston for the first time because he's a country boy. And he was running bare feet when students from Casey and Calabar and all of them was running in spikes. And he was so scared. But then when he looked to the finish line, when they said on your mark, he saw some police officers at the finish line. And then he heard a gunshot. And he was running for his life because back in the country, they knocked 2 pieces of board to say go. They used gunshot in Kingston.
Yes.
And he got scared because he wasn't expecting a gunshot. So when he heard the gunshot, he was running to get to the police officers to save his life. He wasn't running to win, but he won. That was his best performance. Now, that was Mark Golden in the 2020 local government election. He was campaigning for his life.
And you are saying that that is going to be his best performance?
Yes, because his strategy were wrong and things have changed. His timing is off.
But Mr. Ownbar, sorry the neighbor, I would like to disagree just a little bit, just a little bit, because what happened is, based on my own opinion, I would have felt that, look, Golden and the PNP last year spent a lot of time in trying to destroy the Prime Minister's character. In doing so, they were riling up the people.
Gustav, if you listen to me carefully, I spoke about that over and over. So I just want to finish and give you the floor because I'm doing a forecast here. I'm not trying to have a conversation. I will text you to have a conversation. I will have a conversation when I'm done because I want to finish.
Continue then. Continue.
You understand? So in essence, neighbor, I'm telling you that that young man heard a gunshot and thought his life was in danger, and he was running to the finish line so he can get to the police. He wasn't running for a medal.
Yes. But he got a medal.
Yes. So Mark Jefferson Golden was running for his chance to be the PNP leader going into this election. So he wanted that performance when the JLP was more like, okay, this is the post-pandemic election that we will use to see what the people mode is and what we want to do and where we want to do it before the general election.
I got you.
So I try to explain the results every now and then, and people are asking me, why are you favoring the JLP in your forecast, despite the fact that the PNP did so good in the local government election? It was essentially a 33-30 result if it was a general election. And I'm saying exactly that. Every point I make, everything I research and make a conclusion, point to the PNP being at their best at it at that time, and it will not have any impact going forward from here on. Because you think PNP can go and campaign on 28 bank account and gain traction from now to the rest of the election?
No, sir.
You think they can go after people have gotten the shock and then sit down and think now and looking at what's going on and realize? You think they can go and campaign on SSL? You think they can go and campaign on SOE and lockdowns?
No, sir.
So it's all the JLP have to do now is explain to the people, educate the people how the pandemic impact inflation and things like those, which are simple, and have the people knowing, look here, we cannot gamble in uncertain global financial state. It's uncertain on the global market, so we have to consolidate our position. That's why we are not taking our risk, any risk. We are being balanced and make sure the country do better or keep what we have at this moment. So
I see.
that's the work the JLP have to do, because if it's infrastructural development and MP performance, the JLP would have done a great job. And I tell you, I mentioned that a lot of JLP candidates might have got to be MP based on the fact that JLP was more popular and leading in the polls 2020, and the Prime Minister was so favorable. Is still. But those candidates now are speaking for themselves in case of the work they have done and still are doing, like Tova Hamilton, Rhoda Moy Crawford. Tova Hamilton, Rhoda Moy Crawford. If you look at those people and what they have done in their constituency in comparison to what previous MP have done, then you will see how they have made a name for themselves. And along with the fact that people like the JLP government from a central government standpoint, people.
Let me tell you something, Casey. You're among the best political forecasters on the island. You're very good. Hold on for me. What do I go with done on this?
I still expect that to be in the column of the opposition after the general election. If anything
the PNP will win. The PNP will win.
Yes.
Saint Ann.
However, the numbers will not be as big as they were in the local government election, because most of the indicators that point to the JLP was not so last local
Hi,
government.
Erica McKenzie. How are you? How are you doing? You married? I see that's a wedding dress you're wearing. Congratulations to you, Erica. Nice. Send me a piece of the cake, man. Jesse, come off. Good. Yes, Casey.
Yes.
All right. So, what is the margin that you're expecting the PNP to win by in Southeast Saint Ann? You expect them to do better than 32 votes?
As thing as things stand, I see them doing better than 32 votes. And if I see 32 votes, I would call it a battleground today, but I'm calling it a PNP favored seat. Yes.
Favor to win.
Yes. There were a lot of things working against the PNP in that constituency last election, including the PNP.
Oh,
Yes. Lisa Anna can tell you if she's willing to join us.
yes.
Yes. Well, it's not for me to say, but I expect them to take home Northeast Saint Ann. I hear rumors of them wanting to maybe replace Dr. Russell. Well, that would be another story, and that would be a different forecast.
Yeah. Can somebody reach out? Let's go reach out to Lisa and see if she would talk to us. All right. So we have one more left in Saint Ann, and then we're done for today. And that is Northwestern Saint Ann. Let's go over there.
Yes, Saint Ann Northwest. It's a very interesting constituency, and it's kind of a swing seat. It's kind of a swing seat because it's one of them, like, I think JLP won it 2007. After they would have won it, I think it was a by-election or a recount. I think they won it after the 2002 general election. It was declared. It was won in a by-election for Verna Parchment. And then before the 2000 election, she crossed the floor over to the PNP. Othniel Lawrence.
That's Crystal Lee.
Yes, that's Crystal Lee's seat. Othniel Lawrence would have won it for the JLP 2007, and then Dr. Dayton Campbell won it for the PNP 2011 when the PNP won 66% of the seats across the country, winning 42-21.
Hello, Jamaican Politics. How are you? So give us a little roundup of southeastern of Northwestern Saint Ann. What is it that is at play there?
Okay, Northwest Saint Ann has, I would say, equal level of diehard supporters among each party, but they have another 25-30% of voters that are searchers, have been searching for the right party and have been searching for the right candidate. And when they got Othniel Lawrence in 2007 to 2011, because of the financial constraint the government was under there, he couldn't have done much more than he did. Places like Bamboo and so on that is yearning for water couldn't get their water, and he lost 2011. However, 2016, when JLP won by one seat, Dayton Campbell still managed to hold on to that seat, and that was a blessing in disguise for the JLP, because the constituency have happened to now experience a PNP MP under a PNP government in recent times, and then they would have deported him when he lost to Crystal Lee. And Crystal Lee in this term, if anybody do their research, has done so much work. I've done so much work, and I've made that seat a safe seat. And in that post-pandemic,
did you say Crystal Lee?
Yes.
Has made that seat a safe seat, sir?
Yes, she has.
Hold on.
It will always be more marginal than the other seats in Saint Ann because of the nature of the seat. But if you know Saint Ann Northwest and you can take it home by 1,000 votes, that's a big win. If you can win that, if somebody can forecast you winning that seat by 800 votes, then it's a big win, and that's
what was the local government numbers?
Okay. The local government numbers weren't big, and because of a lot of factors. But what I can tell you, Crystal brought home her 4 councillors.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she did.
Yes. Her biggest victory was in Bamboo with 53%. But she brought home her 3 councillors. She won by 52% in Jai Harbour, 52 to 48. That's a 4%. 53 to 47, that's a 6% in Bamboo. And she had 1% victories in Brownstown and Surgestown division. And if she can win those divisions in that post-pandemic election, there ain't nothing stopping her from winning the constituency, because the Bamboo and Dry Harbour division in the general election, JLP will take it home by some 57 and 60 percentage points. 57 to 60 percentage points.
Sorry, so I didn't realize that Crystal Lee is so strong in Saint Ann. What are you saying to me?
Yes, she have turned things around, and thanks to central government, things are better from an economical standpoint, and all the things that were said to be in the pipeline are being promised over the years in Saint Ann Northwest. Most of them are coming to fruition under Crystal Lee, and she's a good administrator in her constituency, and she's making sure that the work is being done. She is strong.
Hold on. So Northwestern Saint Ann is now a safe Labour Party seat?
At least for the next general election.
That's a yes?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's another one. It's another one that the MP has proven herself, and the JLP supporters, especially the one that the JLP have won over since the last general election, love this MP. And PNP is in a situation that the harder you come for Crystal Lee, is the harder the people will push against you. And ask somebody to do a poll in that constituency, and then you will know what I'm talking about. Crystal Lee is like a Rhoda Moore Crawford or a Tova Hamilton that's not in a constituency that is a PNP bedrock.
I'm shocked. Give me a minute. Infomedia, I send you a request. Join me for a minute, please. Infomedia, give me a minute of your time. They want her back for good. Oh. So quite frankly, we have looked at 6 seats this afternoon, and the forecaster is giving 5. Hold on, we have looked at 6 seats. Yes, the forecaster is giving 4 to the Labour Party, 1 to the PNP, and 1 is a toss-up. Am I correct?
Yes. So as far as the general elections are concerned, I forecasted a win for the PNP today, because the current numbers would have been 5-1 in those seats, because JLP would have 5 of those MP with PNP having 1. So PNP can't cost me today.
All right, so we went to Northern Trelawny. and where Tova Hamilton is. And tell us again what the results are going to come out on Northern Trelawny, Casey.
Yeah, Northern Trelawny is expected to be a battleground. I expect it to be a battleground that is going way down to the wire.
Going down to the wire. Going down to the wire. So that's Tova's seat. We can't call that one. Too close to call. We can't call that one at all. And then we went to South Trelawny. Tell us what South Trelawny looked like, Casey.
JLP safe seat.
A JLP safe seat. So Paul Patmore is going to get a beating. So boy, I tell you, Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, she's going to get a third term, or is a fourth term?
I think it's a fourth term.
What term? Wow. And then we hopped over to Saint Ann.
Marissa is getting a fifth term.
A fifth term. Oh,
Yes.
this is a 5-star general. Oh,
Yes, she's going for a fifth term.
boy, the lines are.
I want to tell you this, neighbor.
The lines are blowing up here.
The candidate that would have replaced
Chris, thank you.
the candidate that would have replaced Miss D is, if Miss D have not came back. Paul Patmore couldn't manage that candidate.
Couldn't manage him either.
No.
Oh, I'm taking a little bit of a.
Devon McDaniel was the MP before Miss D.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Yes.
And then when we jumped over to Saint Ann Northeastern, where we have Matthew Samuda, tell us what you said about Mr. Samuda.
It's a foregone conclusion. Matthew Samuda will take that.
A foregone conclusion.
It will be a win. Yeah, and that will be in the JLP column as well. Yes.
Good afternoon at 3 minutes, 12 minutes after 3 o'clock. What is it? What is this that we are hearing on this Monday afternoon? And then you took us down to Southwestern, where Xavier is, and what did you say, sir? Tell the listeners.
Xavier is safe. He's the man in Saint Ann.
Xavier is the man in Saint Ann.
Yes. You know, they call that constituency mainland.
Mainland.
Yeah.
Labour land.
Mainland, because Xavier last name is Main.
Oh, I see. All right. And so then of the 6 constituencies that we forecast, you have given 4 to Labour, 1 to the PNP, and 1 is a battleground.
It's a battleground.
Huh?
One is a battleground.
Okay. Listeners.
So Delroy. Wagwan.
We have forecast about St. Elizabeth.
We're going to St. Elizabeth soon, Gustav. Now you can talk about St. Elizabeth off the ground, but we're going back to St. Elizabeth soon. But my next forecast is going to be the roadmap for the PNP. What the PNP have to do and have to win if they are to win the general election.
Yeah. All right. So listeners, that's tomorrow, Casey?
That's what I'm working on.
Okay. That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Tuesday. Yeah, it would have to be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's Thursday. It can't be Wednesday.
All right. Yes, so we have been working on a map for the PNP's path to victory. We have been doing it. We have been doing it. We have been doing that. narrow as it is, we still have a little path there. In case he?
Yes.
All right, listeners, it's your time, you know.
Yeah. What makes Tova Hamilton seat a battleground seat? We are the problem areas.
Okay. First thing that makes that seat a battleground, foresight, is the fact, as far as my forecast is concerned, I don't forecast as a Labourite. I look at it from a neutral standpoint, a JLP standpoint, a PNP standpoint, a candidate standpoint, past and present history, and the mood of the people, what the people have been fed in recent years in terms of information. And it's also poll considerate. And the poll will tell you that JLP has a lead in Trelawny. And if the poll has JLP leading by 5 points in Trelawny, the poll will have JLP leading by 4 or 5 points in South Trelawny. So that's poll considered. Poll considered.
Yeah. So that's the blue dot poll in February.
Yes.
In Trelawny,
as far as the poll is concerned, that's one of the factors that make it a battleground. The other thing is JLP is leading in terms of traction. If you look, which candidate people would vote for by a mile, based on the fact that Dr. Wickham McNeil have just been deported, lost his seat after multiple term in Western Westmoreland, and do not have a good track record. And Tova Hamilton, the fresh candidate, is being the best MP they have ever seen, or they have seen for a long time. And I coupled that with the fact that it's basically known as a PNP stronghold. PNP have division that the JLP will not win, even if the JLP win the constituency. JLP don't have division that the JLP will win if there's a big PNP swing. So I use one to cancel out the other. You understand? Then again,
So you're going by canvases? You're going by a canvas in the constituency?
Are you Africa?
That's what you're looking at?
Foresight. Tova Hamilton and Dr. Wickham McNeil has to go by canvas. I'm forecasting based on different things. If I was going by canvas, I wouldn't be doing forecasting.
Okay.
No forecast, not even pollster do canvassing. Two people do canvassing, two candidates.
True.
And even canvassing are wrong. So it's not, and if you, as a Labourite forecast, because I'm a Labourite, I don't tell people I'm neutral, you know. If you want to see a hole in my forecast to say that I'm biased, you got to prove it to me, and I'll be willing to listen to you. But I'm a Labourite, but my forecasts are fair. If you want to call South Trelawny a safe JLP seat, you can go ahead and call it.
No, man, no, not necessarily. We just want to hear, what you're going to buy and the reasons and the problem areas, if there are like areas that you say
so when you
problematic.
ask why I say it's a battleground, you want the factors why I don't call it a safe PNP seat?
Right. We just want to know where the problem areas, like you would
one
say.
Of my
they will have
first
problem
rule
in
in
such and such areas.
Foresight, one of my first rule in forecasting, I don't call a seat safe that's in the column of the party I'm forecasting against. So I can't forecast a safe seat for the JLP, and the seat is presently in the JLP column.
Right,
that really goes against information. And regardless of what you think, you have to respect information. You have to respect the data. The data shows that the constituency has a JLP candidate. How can it be a PNP CF seat?
Yes, makes sense, eh?
So even if I'm,
Yeah.
even if I see enough to call it for the PNP or advantage PNP, it cannot be a PNP CF seat.
No,
Yes.
because it's currently being hit by a JLP candidate.
Exactly. Not even Eastern Hanover, where as far as the polls are concerned, it's largely in favor of the PNP, but I cannot call it a PNP CF seat and it's in the JLP column. I can say advantage PNP by however big you want to put them, but how can I call a CF seat for one party?
I can understand that Dave Brown, you know, on 2 occasions that he won, there were serious doubts about him winning.
No, man,
I've
had my forecast on Dave Brown multiple times and people disagree with me. But I will get back to that. I have Dave Brown to go back to God knows, you know.
Oh.
Yes.
For the 3rd term.
Yes.
Okay. And that is despite what the polls are saying, because the polls are suggesting that that is one of the strongest PNP
Yes.
parish.
And I'm not discrediting what the polls are saying because I'm doing a forecast. They're doing a polling. In order for you to come out with a poll, you will have to go and ask a question maybe weeks or months before to come out with a poll now after you finish analyzing your data. I'm using both your poll and other different things, and I'm forecasting for what to come. You understand?
To what extent, Onbas, you think performance of the candidate will influence voters?
Yeah, I spoke about that a lot. If you really listen to me, it does have its influence, because if I'm the kind of person that votes for MP, what I'm seeing done, you see the people that really look when we see a going around here, those are the people that vote based on MP. A lot of time those people either don't care or not, or they are not in touch with central government, what's going on centrally and internationally. But locally in their area, they're looking. I don't see the road they fix since the man MP. I don't see him do nothing. We still don't have no water and we don't hear of him make no representation or do nothing for make we see. So it comes down to the type of people that are in the constituency.
Put a percentage on the weight you think it carries. AC. Put a percentage on it.
I always say 20%.
Like
20% of the electorates. That's what
No, man, put a percentage on it. Where you're saying performance would rank in terms of influence voters. You know, other influence voters. Some people visibility. You have other like performance, you have visibility.
Talk again.
You have
what is
handles.
your question?
No, put
Ask
away
me question again.
on the influence that you think performance will have on the voters. No, I was asking earlier, to what extent you think performance, will influence the voters to vote? And voters will vote for different things. Some people visibility is important, I want to see them MP, and you have some people want to vote and all of that. So put a percentage on the weight that you think performance carry.
Yes, performance. It depends now on what type
on
of
a scale of 1 to 10. Just weigh the performance factor.
Weight no foresight.
In terms of
it depends on what type of performance. Because I was just trying to explain to you the different type of electorate. You understand?
Yeah. All right. We're gonna have to get to Mackie Flex because
yes,
running.
because some people, the people who vote on performance, I put them in 2 categories. There are the people who vote off information, who really watch the news and know what's going on internationally and nationally, who is trying to see what central government is doing, what the government and our whole is doing, the prime minister. And there are others who vote on what their MP is doing. Those are mainly the people who watch if water is in the community, if that road is being fixed, and so on. So even the people that vote off performance are split down the middle as to what kind of performances they look for. You understand?
Okay.
When Rudyard Spencer was named health minister in 2007, in the 2011 general election, he won by less than 200 votes. And you know why? Foresight.
Yes, 1T. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man, I'm listening.
The constituents, a large number of the constituents is complaining that he is the health minister and the Lionel Town Hospital was downgraded to a clinic and it's in his constituency and he spent millions on Maypen and Cornwall. People not taking it into consideration that he's member of parliament for Southeast Clarendon, but he's not the Minister of Health for Southeast Clarendon. He's the Minister of Health for Jamaica. And the place that has the most needs, that really take care of the most people, service the most people, would have, and really the emergency places where the money had to go, and those hospitals would have been Maypen Hospital and Cornwall Regional at the time. Some people don't take that into consideration. So,
sorry. Yeah.
So
there
you go.
And making contribution.
People will say they vote for performance, but how much do they understand the performance?
That's true. Yeah.
So then that now comes down to information and the communication of the respective parties.
So we want to say good afternoon to Erica McKenzie. We want to say good afternoon to Erica. Erica McKenzie is joining us for the first time. Good afternoon, Erica. And Action Jackson, you're always there. Jamaican girl. Good afternoon, Jamaican girl. Hold on. And
yes.
Kayan, is Kayan? Thank you. Yeah, let's get these numbers up to 200 now, and we stay until 4 o'clock. Okay. Let's go to 200. It's 3:30. It's 3:30. Give us a little bit more time.
So Foresight think that 35% of the people vote based on performance. It's still split down the middle. What type of performance they vote on and how they understand the performance. And I think 60% already made up their mind.
Yeah, got it. Mackie Flex, good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, me get you clear, brother. I agree.
Mackie Flex.
Afternoon, neighbor, and on the panel and listeners. Listen, I remember in 2020 in Southeast Saint Ann, I never forget, leading up to the election, I remember there's a candidate that was on the JLP ticket that's now on the PNP ticket against Matty Samuda. He was withdrawn suddenly before nomination day, for whatever reason that were given, right? And the persons at the time were disgruntled. And when election was called and the votes came in, it recorded that Lisa Hanna lost by 32 seats after the recount. I think it was 14 at the preliminary count, right? I'm putting this out to say, given that it has been a traditional strong PNP seat, I believe voting patterns have changed. So, KC, question to you is, given that 2024 local government election was the strongest performance to date at the PNP, and you could say that in 2020 it was one of the lowest performance, what percentage would you give in terms of the voter turnout being more favorable for the JLP this time, given that I believe the PNP has flattened out now? I believe the election is called in July or August. It is going to be a weaker PNP compared to February 2024. So how would you percenticize the voter turnout?
It will not be a weaker PNP. In my opinion, it will be a much stronger JLP. So the PNP will not be as weak as they were 2020. They will be stronger. But the JLP will be strong enough to beat the PNP and beat the PNP by a good margin in terms of what I'm seeing. But it will not be the JLP of 2024 February. It will be a stronger JLP, but it may be the same PNP. It's not going to be a weaker PNP than the one you saw in the local government election.
All right.
So that's where most people take a lot of things for granted and start to predict 53 seats and so on because the JLP is gaining strength. They are not taking it into consideration that the PNP is stronger than they were in 2020.
Yes, and I give that to you. I give that to you. So at best then, you use the 2024 projections in terms of the vote turnout, and based on what is happening on the ground there in Southeast Saint Ann, because we hear rumblings of Cabinet being changed, and in terms of the length of the election before election is called, in terms of the length that time, I believe it favors the JLP. Do you not think or believe that
that's why I told neighbor, if you were listening, that I don't expect the PNP to win by the margin. They would have won the constituency based on the numbers of the division in 2024 February. I expect them to win, but not by anywhere near that margin. And Makiflex,
yes,
there I think based on what I'm seeing, there are at least 47 more likely seats for the JLP to win in this general election than Southeast Saint Ann. So if they are to win Southeast Saint Ann, it would be a pick up along the way that will be a contribution of a very big swing. So it's really hard to forecast things like that. Because when things like that happen, it doesn't really come down to the candidates on the ground.
Okay.
You understand? Because somebody...
Yeah. I'm getting from you, Casey, that you're saying that a lot of these candidates, aren't you going to pull a lot of these candidates as well?
No. I don't see that because I don't see Andrew Holness depending on a swing to win the election. Andrew Holness is campaigning on his performance and the performance of his candidate in the constituencies. And the only candidates are in trouble are the one that they can't campaign on their performances because JLP supporters in the constituency have thrown that through the window by criticizing them publicly.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Good afternoon. Hold on. Clain, C-L-A-I-N. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Clain, C-L-A-I-N. Good afternoon. How are you doing? We're getting back to that soon. 1T. Where are you, 1T? Where are you? Tell me. Where are you? Good afternoon to you, 1T. We see Brenky joining. Where have you been all morning, Brenky? Morning, man. Good afternoon. Go ahead, sir.
Neighbor.
Yes, sir.
Casey, what you believe? You believe that social media, in terms of some candidates who have a social media campaign going, you think that helps them more than others who don't have it?
Yeah, it helps because no matter what you're selling in a market, word of mouth, the marketing that you get from other people helps you a lot. And a man who don't see what you're doing may see on social media, or he may have heard from people that have seen it on social media, then maybe check with somebody to say, oh, okay, he or she is doing this. I don't see anything going on this side. Then that's where now somebody explains it. Based on the amount of funds available or the procurement time things don't reach this side yet. So it's marketing. Social media makes marketing easier. So it's good for everybody to have a social media presence. And most people have it. If not all, and I would say everybody should have it. Because you can't put fake road on social media and people don't know any market. And you can't put fake water on social media because everybody depends on social media and somebody will go point it out and then put up the real road or put up say the water is not there. So people, a candidate can't come lie on social media. You understand? So
like Tova. So Casey, I kind of like Tova Hamilton in North Trelawny, who
yes,
I understand the reasons why you give calling it a battleground seat, right? But I kind of like Tova, who was first time MP, has doing so much work. It's out there in social media, and persons are applying what she's doing now, literally in the face. Is helping her to more that get deported and don't have any traction at all.
Yes. As me said, I took all of that into consideration. Then I got the post-pandemic election to look and see how they will react in case Tova is not that strong at the moment. And it shows you that the PNP in the constituency will vote PNP no matter what. So that's the difference with a North Trelawny and a Northern Clarendon or a Northwest Saint Ann. So it doesn't come down to what Tova have done. What Tova have done will help Tova, but it will not make PNP weaker. So that's why I'm telling you that I'm expecting a stronger JLP, but I expect PNP to be as strong as they were in the local government election last February.
Right.
You understand me now?
Yes.
I understand the point.
And Gustav.
So basically, the JLP that needs to get stronger and not rely on the PNP to get weaker, because it will not happen.
That's how
And
you
that is-
win an
that is
election.
reasonable.
That's how you win
Right.
an election, and that's why the PNP are steering down a barrel of a gun because they were campaigning to make JLP weaker so they could walk into Garden House. That's what their campaign is based off. PNP wanted a weaker JLP
But you
and a
don't think
weaker
the
Andrew Holness
performance,
to beat.
you don't think the performance of some of these MPs, first time MPs, will chip away some of the PNP support in these years?
It will chip away some of the PNP support, but you can't say that for every constituency because the comrade in some constituency are different to the comrade in others, and I just use 3 constituencies that's very different to make example for you. But those performances of those MP make JLP stronger in the constituency and take doubt out of undecided mind that, okay, them not different or them not better, because it shows that a Rhoda Mike Crawford performance is different from that of a Peter Bunting.
Agreed.
So if you're strong enough, you don't have to worry about how strong the next one is.
And then
Yeah,
perceptions are ever thing too, you know,
what I see with the PNP, Casey, that the PNP's over-reliance on tradition, right? Traditional votes, not performance, but traditional vote, right? Is getting weaker. Would you agree that the PNP is mostly relying on the traditional voting pattern to win?
Well, what I would say to you
Meaning,
is
so
that,
them say you're PNP, so you're going to always vote PNP.
yes, the traditional voting is always there and will always be there, but that's not the only factor at play. And if you depend on just that, you will be found wanting.
That's what I think too.
Yes.
And I think the PNP has
I agree with that.
relied solely on that.
Yes.
Because when you look at the 14 MP,
Listen
that they
now,
have.
Forsyth.
yeah,
When some traditional PNP sit back and say, boy, this Andrew Holness straight and fair and kind and him a work and me kind of like him, so me not vote for Labour, so I won't even vote, you know. And Mark Golden come with a strategy and the IC then try to taint Andrew Holness' reputation, and maybe them who saw PNP lose 49-14 and they didn't vote maybe feel guilty and are even hurting. Things like that have them rush back to the polls, you know, because what they wanted is reason to vote PNP, and even though PNP is not giving them that reason, the propaganda that in their face they will get to use it as an excuse because it's not a reason, you know, because they won't sit and reason it out. They will use it as an excuse to go and vote PNP and use things like the pandemic and police are lock off dance and this and that, but the crime is what really hatch those problems, you know. The problem of party.
Because
listen,
those people.
We're talking about electorate, and what you worry about and what you don't worry about have nothing to do with what you get when you look at the real issues.
Let me just
and I'm trying to explain to you that Forsyth. I'm trying to explain to you how PNP supporters, traditional PNP supporters, come back to the poll. They don't look for reasons, they look for excuses. So you can't rely on them not voting for you to win, and that's not what this JLP and this Andrew Holness is doing.
I'm agreeing with that in our own bus. If you listen to me, you will understand what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with that 100%.
Yes. No,
right?
but you're telling me what you worry about and what you don't worry about. That should not be of concern.
No, man. That's just an introduction to what I was saying. So you're trying to deduce from my introduction. You know what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
I'm saying to you, those people are either PNP, actively, they're going to either vote for PNP, or just like you said, they're going to vote for PNP, or they are going to not vote, right? So they will just remain, they will abstain on the election day, but they will never vote for JLP. What I'm interested in is those people who sit on the fence and those new voters that the JLP can get to vote for them, because as you rightly said, it is about the JLP getting stronger, not relying on the PNP to get weaker.
Yes,
right.
And we got to give credit to the people who sit down and look for reasons. Those are the people that switch over. People who are PNP, but they look for reason. They switch to JLP now, and they don't go back to PNP. They don't sit on the fence because they're looking for reason. And once you're looking for reason, you will find it if the reason is there. But the people
which came me to my point, Casey.
Yes.
Which came me to the point now, Casey, that is why we cannot count. And I think sometimes in the discussions, you know, maybe not with you, but with other panelists, I tend to think that not because PNP got a certain number of votes in the last election, we can't count that as PNP votes. Because among those voters, you still have persons who will vote for one party or the other. If you understand what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
Right.
But the vote, it was counted as PNP votes on that day, and we are dealing with numbers. You understand? When we deal with the factors, that makes the numbers come now, we might get a different story. As long as they have voted for PNP, I have to use them as PNP numbers in my research to see what is going on. You understand?
Right. Yeah, man. But in terms of the numbers, and yes, there were voters for PNP, so you have to count it as how many votes that PNP got the last election. But all I'm saying is that among those voters, you still have persons who will vote one way or the other. It's not 7,000 PNP directed votes.
Yes,
right.
But you look,
and that is why I think we have been able to win some of these constituencies like Tova Hamilton, and some of these PNP constituencies that we would consider to be the PNP would have been winning for quite some time. Put it that way. And in some instances, seats that we would consider strong PNP seats like Central Kingston.
all right.
You always have 3 voters in every constituency.
Yes. Watch your shortcut, because I know where you're going. Essentially, JLP roadmap to victory is continue doing what they are doing and getting the people who vote for a reason have no choice but to vote for JLP.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to do. Find the voters among the 70, or among those voters that voted heavily for the PNP the last time, right?
Yes.
Who will be voting for development in them constituency, right? Performance of the government and all of that. And because they are always there. And I think that's a mistake PNP has been making, because they think that because a constituency have been voting for PNP over decades, it is PNP constituency. This ownership of voters that PNP, that mindset that PNP have, that they own voters and everybody will vote for PNP over the last decade that will still vote for PNP. No, it's their biggest vote part. So they don't see the need.
No, man. There have been political
they are going based on
realignment. There have been a slight political realignment.
I was about to make that point, Casey, because I am saying
there has been a change in the base.
Listen, what is happening, Casey? You see, I believe the Andrew effect is not being counted some of the time in a lot of these discussions, because
exactly
you'll find that persons in the local government election will say, listen, I'm not lying, me go vote for my council, and the council might be on the other side, for example, and so I vote for them council. But when it comes to a general election, they must say, boy, I'm not telling a lie, still not like a young youth, me see up in the prime ministership, them are going well, and I'm not going to go against it. And they vote, you understand? And surprisingly, as the demographic gets more and more exposed, you will find, surprisingly, that persons who, let's say, for example, PNP support, they might say, listen, I give that young youth a chance, So I make the point to say that the Andrew effect is having an impact on the voting pattern in the country. And so when you see the low voter turnout the last election, and you see constituents in Westmoreland, for example, voting Labour, whilst I know it's not going to be in terms of a blow like that, for example, what you find is that you won't see for example, blow by the PNP anymore, because the demographic has changed.
Exactly.
I mean it.
Exactly.
Guys, 10 minutes to 4. We're gonna have to leave it there for today, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Catch you tomorrow, Forsyth. Tomorrow's a work day, actually. You going to work tomorrow?
Yeah, man.
Take care.
Man.
Take care, Mackie Flex.
Blessings, my brother.
Bye-bye.